All right, I'm gonna be working out on the Z tread today, doing a little bit of sprinty stuff. It's not super sprinty. It's not like sprint. It's not crazy fast. I am a little sore, so normally I would forego any sprint work while I'm sore. But I leave town tomorrow and I'm gone for a few days, so I want to sneak in one more workout on that treadmill. The treadmill's been great. It feels much different than running on the regular ground and running on kind of regular surfaces. I did a run yesterday, and that's kind of partially why my legs got pretty sore. I did a little tester. Brian Mackenzie was telling me, hey, you should be able to run an 11-minute mile very comfortably with only breathing in and out of your nose. But it's not just about breathing in and out of the nose. It's about breathing in and out of the nose and basically being at like 60%, maybe 70% of your max, somewhere in there. And so I went and I did it, and I was ambitious and I was fired up and excited, and I did like 9:55. And I felt like I could definitely go into the 9-minute range, probably with just nasal breathing for 1 mile, but to try to do that for 2 miles would have been too difficult for me at the time. But that's not the point. I kind of screwed up and missed the whole point of the thing. Again, remember, the point is to not only nasal breathe, but one of the reasons why you're choosing nasal breathing is not just for the benefits of the CO2 to oxygen ratios and so forth, but it's also just to kind of calm you down and to have a different workout. So if I'm to sit here and jam on these rows right here, I could go and I could be, breathing and going crazy, and just like all the videos you guys see of the big jacked bodybuilders and stuff like that. Or I could be on there and I could be doing my set and I could be going, one isn't necessarily better than the other, they're just different. The input's gonna be different, the recovery's gonna be different. I'm obviously gonna recover from that a lot easier than rah, 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 right? And they are different in terms of what you burn. So when you stay in your nose and you stay calm, you're in kind of a fat burning zone. You're in what would feel like a walking zone. Just, I saw a marathoner, a famous marathoner. He won the Chicago Marathon. I'm losing his name at the moment, but I saw he did like a 2:06 marathon at the Chicago Marathon, and then he posts some of his workouts to Strava, and some of them are like 9 minutes and 9:30 minute mile pace, but his heart rate is at like 106. And I think that's part of my goal, is to be able to push my capacity up, be able to push my miles per minute up, but also while keeping that heart rate, low. So if I just always take the heart rate and I'm always at like 160, 170, it's a little bit like lifting. If I'm kind of always maxing out, then there's nowhere else for me to go. I'm stuck. There's like a ceiling here that I keep kind of hitting up against, right? And if I ride down here, then this ceiling that I have will go up. And this capacity will go up too. And see how they're both going up simultaneously? That's what you want. Then when you hit it hard again and you go to 160, 170 heart rate, see how I got this buffer here, right? In my opinion, that's a lot of what we're looking for. And I reach out to people like Brian Mackenzie, Joel Jameson, the people that really know about these things, to get more advices, since I don't know it all when it comes to this stuff. But I want to share something really important with you guys today, and that's this. One of the things you can do when you get in the gym, yeah, you can warm up and you can rope flow, and I can grab a hold of this rope. I could put on some yoga kind of music, tunes, right? And I can kind of, I love doing that. And I do that quite often. And if I'm really beat up, that's my go-to. But there's another way to go about doing things. And that is to completely just stick it to yourself right when you walk in the door. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab this RAM roller. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it on a stroll. This is a 66-pounder. So hold it like a Zercher and just take it for a little stroll. Ooh, it's a little bit hot. So this is challenging right where Mark Smelly Bell is very weak, which is in the front of my body. I don't know why, but I'm grossly weak in that area. Haven't really done exercises like this before, I guess. So you see I'm holding it like above my chest too, but it's not just completely stacked on my shoulders, but even stacked up here, it's still hard. See if I get this next cone and then go back. And if you don't have this weird ram roller, just grab something else. Med ball, barbell. So now I'm starting to squish down, and now I'll maybe put it below the microphone. If you pull into your gut, you'll be able to brace yourself better, but I think you're better off not doing that. So this is static hold with the biceps, and also a little bit of a static hold with my stomach. I'm also trying to keep my feet straight, because what you'll find with these heavier weights is you want to really waddle, which I don't think there's anything wrong with, but just for continuity purposes, trying to keep those feet straight. And dude, like my back, completely on fire. And so you're probably thinking like, oh, that doesn't seem that hard. 66 pounds. Well, it was difficult for me, and that's what's important. Find something that's going to be difficult for you to manage. Got my breathing up, got my heart rate up, got my body temperature up. You know, if you're a younger guy, maybe you can come in the gym and do faster things quicker. But you notice like everything I'm going to do is like going to be pretty slow in terms of how fast I'm able to move on these things. Because yeah, you are trying to like warm up. So when I say go to the gym and stick it to yourself, I mean like do something difficult that gets you breathing hard, but also maybe something that you're not doing at like a high speed to where you could hurt yourself, you know, because I do think if you walk in the gym out of nowhere and just start sprinting, you might, you know, F yourself up pretty good. But this is slow, so it's like, I'm not gonna hurt myself doing this, right? Getting the knees warmed up. Watch your feet there. Woo! That'll get you warmed up quick. This is a good warm-up so far. So far, so good, so what? Yeah, feels good. I'll have to get my feet moving a little bit. Do one more pickup on the other side here. Get this microphone out of the way. Yep. Yeah, my whole body just got like warmed up. I feel my body temperature just creep, and I can feel my nervous system getting ready. So here we go. 110 pounds, by the way. So this isn't too crazy. Little med ball stuff maybe. Might not be a bad idea. Body feels pretty good. Like the tissues on my body feel pretty good. Could probably use a little roll with the quads, so I'll probably do that in a second. Med ball stuff. You know, this is a med ball. It's gonna like roll away from you quite a bit. But if you have other type of med balls, you can take them on a walk, or even a bouncing one. You could just throw it up higher so it doesn't get away from you too much. And you can walk down the street doing this. Obviously, we don't need a crazy amount of reps though. We don't need heavy, so everyone always wants to grab the 20, you know, but that, to me, that's heavy. 10 is like, 10's perfect. Do a couple reps like a sissy, you know, do a couple easy. And then you feel better. Feel a little better, you start to really rip them, you know. And then like for me, I could think, okay, I want more movement. And not necessarily some crazy like velocity or anything. So I can go and try to just really twist with it, you know. Beautiful way to warm up for bench, squat, deads. You can obviously pick up the pace a little bit if you want. And now I'm able to throw a little more explosiveness. Potentially be at like a stop and a start. And continue your run. Here. And then sprint a little bit. Getting warm, just trying to move around, get the body going. We'll do one more, we'll hit the ceiling here. Bing, there we go. So this is where I can do some of my quaddy stuff. And so I'm just gonna hang here. If I wanted to, if I was by myself, I wouldn't do any of this, by the way, because I'm an influencer. But I wouldn't be doing anything, right? I only do stuff for the grams. But no, if I was by myself, I could actually take a minute here and kind of meditate. Think about the workout. Think about how I'm the best there is, the best there was, best there ever will be, best thing that ever happened to the fitness industry. That kind of stuff, the normal stuff that I think about. I really liked what our guest yesterday said, Marshall Jones. He said, he goes, I don't know if people know it's an option, but you can just take 20 minutes out of your day and just sit there and go, I'm just going to worry for 20 minutes. I really like that a lot because it's probably not reasonable for us to tell people like, hey, don't worry. There's some people that just have a tendency to worry a little bit more than others. And for those people, it's like, okay, maybe try this strategy. Try to take 5-10 minutes out of your day, sit down, maybe get in some sun, close your eyes and just think about all the stuff that you're worried about. You know, your uncle got a bad diagnosis of something going on, he's in the hospital. Think on that for a little bit, you know. Think about your kid being away at school or your kid's first day of school, or you're going to be 50 coming up or 60, or not sure if you're going to be able to pay the bills this month. Just sit there and say it to yourself. And then when you speak it, what usually happens is you recognize it, and then you start to probably try to problem solve a little bit, and then it calms you down. You're like, okay, well, I already thought about that. So, and then you could speak to your spouse or your best friend or whoever it is you need to talk to. Say, hey, I was thinking about this the other day, and what do you think about maybe we can do this option or that option? And now you have solutions to something that you were worried about before. So I think it's a great tactic. So you could just sit here and just worry. I'm so worried. I remember years ago, Matt Vincent would post these videos of him mobilizing and doing these drills and doing all this stuff, and he would fast forward it because it was long, you know. And I think Matt is like a 2 or 3 time Highland Games champion, a track and field athlete that I believe was a scholarship athlete at LSU. And if he wasn't scholarshiped, either way, I mean, he was on the LSU track team, very high level. I thought to myself, man, I wouldn't want to do any of that stuff that he's doing. But I also thought to myself, that's what makes him a champion. That's what makes him stand out. That's what he needed. That's what he did. And he made sure he did all of it. Also have this gun, and these kind of things can be really useful. So just like, look at all the bugs that fell out of this thing. There's so much stuff in here. This place is crazy. There's like, I walked in yesterday and I saw the biggest lizard I ever seen in my life. I thought it was like a fucking Komodo dragon. And I saw a snake in here. Like whatever thing that you see the predator for it, you know? So I've seen some mice in here. So mice are gonna attract snakes, and really probably need to get a cat or 2 out here just to like demolish all these little bastards, because I don't want them chewing on the wires of my treadmill. That would be detrimental. Anyway, I mean, this is just quick and easy. I don't think the world of these things, but I do think they're effective, and they can be really helpful along with doing some other techniques and stuff. I wouldn't put all of my recovery into this, but I do think it's helpful. So another bug just flew out of there. Disgusting. If nothing else, this is just waking muscles up. A little activation. Maybe you'll find something. Maybe you'll go, oh shit, I didn't even know that was there. Kind of, you know, wake your body up a little bit by going through the sternum, just poking. Like I'm always real tight through here. Even when I just like pull my rib cage up, like this shit's always like tight. I'm not looking to get everything like all loose or anything like that by any means, but I'm just trying to move around. I love this for my neck. I just put pressure here, put pressure right here, and then just look up. And you could do this with like a sandbag or a med ball, a heavy med ball, and it actually like ties this thing down. And then you go to lift your head, you can't move your head hardly, but you really want to grab a lot of skin, you know, so maybe under the shirt even. Can I get a hey now? And a lot of you guys that are 40, 50, 60, you can't look up to save your life. So, you know, get in there, move that shit around. You can try just moving your head around different ways. And then a little bit of this, for those people that know. My shoes are pretty loose and stuff, so I gotta tie them up a little bit better, but we'll get moving on here. Uberzati time. I did this workout the other day. Kind of a lot of sets in there. But you see how it goes back and forth, transitioning from a lot of sets to not that many sets. Doesn't really matter what the hell I do right here. Just moving around. The better I get, the more relevant everything will be. Like everything, like the warm up will matter more. You know, if you start running, you know, 100 meters or something at like 10 seconds, then shit matters a lot more. But the way I look at it is, and I'm not saying like I'm going to do things with bad quality or anything like that, or I'm just saying that like I'm in the learning stages, and when you're in the learning stages, you know, just the basics are going to really move you a lot. Even just me learning A skips, B skips and stuff is going to be a big input. Be really helpful, but it'll also be a big input. I can use this mace, and I can internally and externally rotate. Marshall was showing me yesterday, you know, some movement where You know, you're trying to move this way, you know, with this hand, you're trying to move a certain way, and you're kind of pushing the other hand in a different way. And you get this like contralateral reciprocation. This is something I thought about for walking when Weck was showing me. I was like, oh, it's like a little bit like a deadlift. Like if I had a bar, it'd be under, over, under, over. And then David came up with similar stuff with the wrist and the fist. He's got that core fist that he likes to do, and then he likes to kind of like ring around that. So you see if I can get some of the stuff down. So you got the core fist in both hands, and you can kind of ring your body around this focal point. And I know it looks weird, but this is what's happening in sport. Not like, you know, the bushwhackers. Whoa, the bushwhackers from WWF. But you got high elbow, low elbow, because you have a lot of oblique going on. You have a lot of contralateral movement, right? And I'm stiff and tight, so it's hard for me to do it. But if I'm kind of ringing around these posts, I can walk really weird and really silly and be really weird with it. But how weird I am doesn't matter. What matters is, am I able to get a rhythm or a pop out of this somehow? I'm not too concerned with, oh, Mark looks like a jackass. I'm not really that worried about that, although everyone is self-conscious a little bit, right? So I have some of that, but yeah, I don't mind looking weird when people are coming down the street looking at me move or watching me do a drill. I know that this is for me, working on getting better, and what I'm doing is going to look weird and dumb and ugly. This has nothing to do with anything. I'm just moving. I'm literally making stuff up. When I was boxing, a lot of times you were here, you're here, and internal, external rotation all the time. We got internal. We got the hip is doing boom, the hip's doing boom, the hip's going boom, upper body's going boom. The same, right? If we're to exaggerate the other side. And you'll learn. Maybe you don't need to exaggerate. Maybe this is too much. Maybe it is too weird for you. It's fine if it is. I can even slow the treadmill down. And if I move my shoulders more, then my feet want to do that more, right? Because if I was to spin all the way around, you see how my foot, right? If I was to spin all the way around, my foot would want to spin the more I move my shoulders around. So shoulders. Ric Flair. Boom. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Right? Doing that strut. A lot of that strut. He wasn't doing that with his feet necessarily, but I'm sure his feet were straight. He's Ric Flair. But beyond just the shoulder, beyond doing a lot of this, I'm trying to get some of this. And I know you're probably thinking like, man, why is he going through all this? Why don't you just run? I will, and I can. And when I run, a lot of these things are going to happen without really being taught. They're just going to happen. However, a lot of people spin up energy in really weird ways. And they get away with it. But I'm trying to find ways that are going to feel good for me, that are going to be optimal, that are going to allow me some good cruising speed. So something I'm going to really try to work on today, I can show you a video on my phone, but I'm trying to pick my heels up under my butt. So this is not trying to drive my knees. but I'm trying to pick my feet up and end up with a nice figure 4. So it's not back, it's not that. It's crazy because when you start slowing it down, I'm at 1.4. You got to really slow it down. But it's going to be, it's heel like a butt kick, but not a butt kick back there, which I can't really do anyway. But anyway, yeah, it's here. It's under. By the way, when you see all these people running on social media, you can tell they're pretenders, and you can tell their speed is low when their feet aren't coming off the ground much, or if you don't see a lot going on with the knees. You can say, oh, that's cute. That person's running 6 miles an hour, which just isn't that crazy fast, right? You can take your arms out of the equation. And have your arms here. Walk stiff. Observe, how's that feel? You know, doesn't feel bad to me right now. Doesn't feel bad. And then how about I go? That feels a little better. One thing that's interesting with walking, like uphill, we're on 6 for an incline. Walking uphill, almost automatic heel strike. It's like kind of hard to avoid. But running uphill, automatic toe strike. That's going to be automatically what's going to hit. Almost impossible for me, unless I was holding on to this maybe. So I'm just making this shit up. So when you watch my form or technique, I mean, it just is where it's at. It is what it be. Going to start with just a really light, just forward jog, down and back. Next thing I'll do is I'll just try to do some skips. I'm going to try to skip a little higher. Just, I don't know, 70%. I think this is one of the best ways to start doing some of this stuff. Whenever you can walk them like I'm doing here. Ain't no shame in my game. If you want, you can try to keep sort of a stiff foot. Keep the heel from landing if you want. You can lean forward a little bit as if you're going to start to take off. The idea on this, in my opinion, is like not to really acquire a lot of fatigue. So that's why I'm walking back, trying to breathe smoothly, comfortably. I can go, you know, halfway down this way and switch. One thing about having a coach around is they could, you know, drill into your head like how these are supposed to be done. I don't have a good understanding of how they're supposed to be done, but I will soon. I'll have a few people come out and teach me some of these things. Real easy pace, but you get these reps in with the hips, and over time you end up with really strong, powerful hips. And you watch a video and you recognize you're not raising your knee up that much. It's that much easier to kick it up. For me, my goals with the 400, I have to kick my knees up or forward or whatever you want to say, flex my hamstrings and so on for a minute straight, full blast. So if I do this and build up the general physical preparedness for it, that 400 meters shouldn't really be full blast. That's really my goal. I do want to do it in 60 seconds, but I do mainly, like I'd actually be more proud if I did the 400 meter in 105 or 110, but it was at like 85 or 90%. You know, that's actually what I'm looking for. It takes me a little longer to get to the goal of the actual time, then that's fine. We'll try some versions of some skips that I think are skips, but it's probably maybe not, so I'll just work on it. I'm sure someone can go in there and poke around. I do have a ton of videos I save on my phone to watch, but I'm not going to waste my time or yours trying to thumb through those while I'm working out, but I will sometimes do that. But I don't really want to get too stuck on any of this for today necessarily, but how cool are some of these coordinations? Watch as a guy goes, a little more advanced coordinations. That? Yep. Good luck, Smelly. It's going to take a while. That's okay. Okay, so yeah, B-Max sent me some. And that's what I mean by picking the foot up. Whoops. Oh, I sent him this because this girl running, got some pretty cool running form. But she's not really picking the foot up. You know, I don't know what she's doing. You know, it's like you can't judge people by their videos. Like, that looks like a beautiful run, but you know what I'm saying? We're talking about trying to drive that foot up a little better. It looks like she could do a better job expressing that. One thing is just getting comfortable on this treadmill. And just getting comfortable with like movement. Getting comfortable, like, you know, I probably will one day fall off this thing. And it's like I might as well think about that a little bit, but just, you know, move on here and get more used to moving a bunch of different ways. It's really hard not to get like fucking amped up and like just want to go, you know? Hammy and calf. Because I'm bent over and then this kick gets a stretch in the hammies. We don't want to wear shit out too much. You don't want to get fatigue to settle in. I can also change this and we can go omega. And now it'll be me moving the thing itself. But when I start to move it myself, especially on an incline, it starts to like, you gotta start to really get your feet moving. So this is me powering the treadmill myself. And when I do power the treadmill myself, I can do more weird stuff with the feet. I can work on some of these movement patterns. In between these sets today, I might pick something up, move something around a little bit because I have time. I can rest 1 minute, 5 minutes. Anything more than like 3 minutes, so it's probably not going to be smart. So I might twirl the rope around a little bit, maybe get outside. I don't want things to be too exhaustive because the concentration is here. So I might do a few sets and then discontinue it. We'll just see. Here we go. Nice and easy. Relax. No tension. When I was powerlifting, our program was 4 times a week. And a lot of people would say they would be at super training for like 2 weeks, and they would say, "Hey, can I work out more? You know, can I do an extra day? You know, you got the gym open Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Can I come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday?" And I'm like, once you get in the swing of doing this, man, there is no Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, you don't want to be anywhere near a gym at all, much less super training. And after they were there for a year or so, they'd start to understand it better. They go, oh, that's why he said that. And probably the same thing here with these sprints, right? Like someone who's a high-level sprinter isn't crying out to do more sprints. But someone that sucks, someone that I shouldn't say negative stuff about myself like that, but someone who's new to it, someone who's learning it, last thing I need is more high-intensity sprints, right? I need to learn how to do it. And I need to follow a plan of some sort. And then when I figure out the plan and how the plan works, that's when I can make my own plan and I don't have to listen to anybody. But that's years down the road probably. For now, I'll listen to my Uberzati people, have them fix me up. I feel like in my life, I went from, I don't know what I originally was. I don't know what make or model I originally was car-wise. But I feel like at some point, I really needed a diesel engine to do what I needed to do. And I needed to be like, not just a diesel engine, but an old beater truck. I needed to be like grizzled and beat up, but worn in enough to be able to switch gears easily. Almost like an old truck that someone has that has 180,000 miles on it or something like that. I need to kind of turn myself into like a big giant battleship. And I did that. A cargo ship or a cargo truck. And now I'm trying to go the other way and turn myself into a lighter model, a faster vehicle. And it feels like already in my brain, I feel like I want to do stuff like more explosively. I actually find myself with a little less patience, which is really interesting because I'm pretty good with patience. All you need is just a little patience, not a song. I feel like I have a lot of that. But because this CNS activation, it's making me like kind of foam at the mouth to do this kind of work. So these next couple of ones I'm going to do here, I have to hold them a little bit longer. So once I get on there, it says hold. It wants me to hold the speed. You know, because it's weird, even though the treadmill has designated speed, you could be like moving on there, but not moving with like your flow or your technique. So it's like you get on there because you're going from 0 to 6 or 7 miles an hour, which isn't that fast, but you're going from 0, and it's like, it takes me probably 3 steps, maybe 4, to like get in tune with what I'm doing, and then I need to hold that. So it's like, even though it says 8 seconds, it might be more like 12. You're really trying to hold a position. Fun to kind of do this like, sort of like, do this like wrong almost, like, so you can kind of like go with it, right? But then if you intentionally like stay over here, it's bizarre. Intentionally stay over here. Something I learned recently is the wider the stance, the more movement you got to get out of it so you don't hit yourself. So you guys might like this movement. Kind of, it forces movement. It doesn't necessarily force you to go fast, but it does force. So I have to move like this. If I don't move like that, then I start to get close to whipping myself. Rope flow. I know you're hearing a lot of people talk about it in 2026. It's going to become more and more of a thing, become more and more popular. And remember, you heard it from David Weck, and you heard it from Nsima, and you heard it from me, you heard it from Super Training. David Weck coming to Super Training. It was a pivotal moment because this rope, not really just about rope flow. You may never have to do rope flow, or you may never care to do it. But I think this idea here challenges a lot of what we know and a lot of what we did in the past. Not that anything we did in the past was wrong, and not that this is some savior of anything. It's just that, like, moving artistically seems to be really important for life in general. And Peter Itea shared a message today about how detrimental weakness is. But it also could be detrimental if you acquire the strength the wrong way. Strength is awesome. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. I still believe that. But how you do it really matters a lot. And how I did it, I loved it. And it was a lot of fun. But looking back at it, it would have been nice if there was a little bit more other stuff mixed in there. And it's not like I didn't know that stuff at the time. But I think there wasn't enough reward. There wasn't enough immediate reward for me to care about it that much. The immediate reward was like go in, put your squat suit on, load the weight up, and not max all the time because I didn't believe in that, but you know, do these things that you're going to immediately get that dopamine hit from. Squat with these bands and these chains and do these speed sets and these max effort workouts. That's what was, there was really something in that for me. And doing this like this stuff and like mobility stuff for the hips or something, I was like, it felt like a waste of time. But I guess what I'm trying to communicate to you guys is that a little goes a long way. So 15 minutes, just, you know, take your normal workout, your normal 90-minute workout, carve out 10 to 15 minutes to do a little bit of bullshit, and you should be fine. You shouldn't have to do all these tricks and flips and different things to unwind a super tight body. But I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it to the tune of which the likes of people have never seen before. So I'm really excited. I'm very confident in that. And even when you guys see me in like 4 or 5 weeks from now, it's going to be different. It's going to be way different. The centrifugal force of just going choo, 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 and then having a little bit of weight on the arms, it kind of literally feels like it pulls my arms out. Very strange. So in the last set I was talking about like jumping down from here. So I'll do that over here. But yeah, I can see myself in the mirror too, so I can try to watch for any collapse and stuff. And maybe I'll just do this a couple times during today's workout, 2 or 3 times, 4 times. Obviously this is like not insanely high, but it's not short either, so it's not a bad thing to work on. Just trying to figure out a way to manage the jump. I'm not going to try to be super stiff and like just lay on the ground crazy forcefully. And I'm not going to try to get into some perfect squat. I'm just going to try to figure out how can I manage my weight when I drop to the ground here. So here we go. There we go. Felt really good. I'll do one more. Cool thing is we could set this bad boy up pretty high if we wanted to work on these more. Feels like the main thing for me there is just a little breathing, like just let some of that go. Got a few people to share the gym with, and sometimes they bring in stuff where like, oh, Mark might like this, and they just leave stuff around every once in a while. This is just a longer rope. It's very awkward. Some good utility there. This is really cool, especially with a rope like this. This rope might be perfect for it, but keep in mind, I know nothing about golf. However, I did see a golfer talk about this, and I thought, what a cool idea. You could take a shorter rope, and you can do golf-like movements with it, and it shouldn't really whip you if you get the rope short enough. So if we're here, and you know, whatever your golf swing is, it's going to be better than mine because I know nothing about golf. But you get yourself through here. I just whipped myself pretty good there. But as you come through, if you follow with your arms, there won't be, well, it's getting me a little bit. So you need a short, it needs to be a little shorter than this still. But this could be really rotation rather than even thinking about a golf swing. Just think about rotation. And again, if we were to do it this way, the rope's too long, it's going to actually whip you. You don't want to be whipped. So instead, we give it a fold. You could probably tie it off some special way and have it be perfectly awesome, but we'll just go with this method for now. And so now we go here, whatever your stance is. Yeah, that's not going to whip you now. and you work on this. You know, I know people do like a shift with their feet, but again, just think of rotation more so than just a golf swing. But I could go as hard as I want, and this isn't going to whip me because it's too short to hit me. You can also, golfers only swing from one side of the plate, so if they want to swing from both sides of the plate, then they can go like this. Wow, that feels so weird. But you can also get after it by staying in here. And remember those rotations. Ben the Bounce showed me when he was here. You just kind of bend in this spot. Get some interesting workouts out of this stuff. Trust me, I know how weird it all looks. Having your face turn purple when you get done with a bench press. A Zercher squat looks weird. A pull through. You ever do a pull through? Most embarrassing exercise in the history of training. Great movement though. Embarrassing movements to do in the gym, right? A lot of things look dumb, but a lot of things are going to make you better too. So I think we got to get over that sometimes. It feels dumb, feels awkward, feels weird to move your hips a certain way, or to even just to do something in public, like just to be at a coffee shop and just to go boom and just kind of hang out here because you feel like stretching your hip. It feels so awkward, or at the airport or whatever. Just get over it. You want to get better, you got to get over that stuff. All right, I'm going to be kind of yelling at myself on this one a little bit. Hold. Hold. Arms. Arms. The way I'm viewing it is like I'm so low level that I could just come in here and do this. I could do 15 seconds of that, rest in between, and do 10 sets of that. That could be my workout for the whole day. Something so simple as just a little bit of ankle flexing, maybe a drill or two, and I could be done. Because my tissues, they're not used to expressing themselves in this way. You can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, and so forth. You know, and see you can get the haptic feedback. Like go to the beat a little bit. It doesn't take a lot of like rhythmic expression to be able to hear that and sort of bounce with it a little bit, right? Don't be afraid to get into it. You know, like one of the coolest things I've seen, with my son a few years ago. He's playing the guitar, and he got better and better at the guitar, and it was really cool. You know, like a lot of people, he could play the first 30 seconds or whatever, right? He got pretty dang good at it, and I always had a front row seat. I always felt honored and privileged just to kind of be able to be sort of close enough to that, to see it and hear it, but not go in his room and bother him while he was doing that. But when I did see him play the guitar, he was just kind of playing the guitar. He was just like playing the music, and it sounded great. It sounded like he was in rhythm with it and everything. But then I saw like an evolution, and I think one time he was with his girlfriend, and I saw him kind of like playing it and moving his body around with the music a little bit, and it just sounded different. It was just a tick, like it was a tick better as he kind of expressed himself a little bit more. So express yourself in the gym. At Westside Barbell, you know, we had to be vocal for each other. we needed each other, man. Like that shit. Those of you guys who had hard wrestling practices or football practices, you know how hard it is. You need to, let's go, come on, you can make it, right? You need to like be yelling, and sometimes you're yelling at the same guys or whatever, and that kind of sucks. But like you need it, you know, you need that auditory, come on, let's go, is really helpful. Whether it's you doing it to yourself in your own head, the way I was just coaching myself, or is it you know, outwardly expressing yourself to a teammate or friend, wanting to see them do better. Really makes a big difference. The Z Tread, by the way, is not really meant necessarily to be owned, you know, by like just someone like myself. It's mainly for training facilities. So people have gone on the site and they're like, $33,000. Yes, it's very pricey, and if anything, it should probably cost more than that. But, you know, hey, what does it do for you if it costs that much money? Well, it does have programming in it. So it's going to ensure that you're going to get faster, and then the people behind it, they can do a lot with the programming to where, like, over the next couple months and years, they're going to be able to do a ton with it, and they're going to be able to have so much input into your training that it's going to be impossible for them to not get you faster. So a lot of good guarantees on that, in my opinion. That's not from them, that's from me. I think it's guaranteed that you're going to get faster and better with that treadmill. But if you are a gym owner and you're training a lot of people that are trying to get faster, that's the best treadmill in the world for that. And the cost of it being $30K is not going to really feel like that much because you're going to be able to train so many athletes on there. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. But so far it's been a lot of fun, especially doing these shorter sprints. I think when I get doing longer sprints, I'm going to probably hate the treadmill a little bit more, but these shorter sprints are a lot of fun. I'm having a really good time with it. But it's Brian Kula. I think I said his name right. He works with Christian McCaffrey and some other people. He's an outstanding coach. We got Tim Stockton is the inventor and creator of the product. And then we got Brian Chavez, who also, he's more the programming behind it, I believe. Or him and Brian Kula, I think, combined some of that. Sometimes when I'm running at these speeds, they're not always fast enough to express everything. Like to be able to like get your legs going and your arms going at like a certain rate. Sometimes it's kind of hard because I'm only going so fast. And the faster that I go, the more natural I'll need to like turn my feet over. However, what I need to keep in mind, if a professional runner got on there, they would still look a lot better than what I'm doing, right? So I have a lot to work on, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the work. I'm here to get my ass kicked. I'm here to learn. I'm hungry for it. I want to get better. And even the time that I set out to do the minute 400 meter, like I don't care about that much. It's just a number. I'm not saying that so that I can chump out of it. I'm just saying like it's not like it's just a number. It's not a main focal point. I just want to be more proficient at sprinting, and ultimately I want to introduce more athleticism. And the way to introduce athleticism is not necessarily just by sprinting. Like I need to do other stuff. So as all this stuff goes on, I'm going to be doing more jumps. I'm going to be doing more explosive lunges. I'm going to be doing more cone drills. I'm going to be running around in a circle, like literally. I'm going to be chucking around a football, like just better movement, period. Whoa, Nelly. It's halftime, baby. Get out the refined sugar. Hey, look it up. Look up refined sugar. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Look it up. Is sugar bleached? Is refined sugar bad? Look it up. Tell me why it's bad. Tell me what's wrong with it. You got any proof that it's bad? I don't think you do. I think refined sugar is awesome. I think you should throw it in your shake when you go hit it up with your workout. Gatorade is that much different than refined sugar? I don't think y'all know what you're talking about. I'm not saying that you should be dumping sugar down your face all day long. You know I talked about the sugar diet and stuff like that, and I think that that does have some utility. But sugar is one of the greatest nutrient-dense things that we have around. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of vitamins and minerals and so forth, but it has a good bump of calories, and it's something that gives you great energy. So I think we're better off looking at sugar as a good energy source. Now, do you need a good energy source when you're sitting on the couch? Like, no, okay, that's fine. But eating some rice cakes or something and throwing some honey on it on your way out the door for a run, brilliant, awesome, great job. Eating some stuff like this, midway through a glycolytic workout, oh, hell yeah, this is great. What's Gatorade? I don't think half you people know what the hell you're talking about. Half the doctors, the experts, and so on, no clue what they're talking about. Oh, stay away from refined sugar. Why? Who said it? Where'd it come from? Stay away from sugar cane. What? Why? Isn't sugar cane natty? Isn't Michael Hearn natty? Do your own research and stop with this baby talk and stop with your garbage. Tired of it. For you business owners out there, man, this thing can be running all day. I saw it firsthand. I went to Tennessee. They showed me the product, and they had kid after kid hopping up there, jumping down. Next kid went up, and they went doot, 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 doot. They pushed buttons, and they had the kid's program pop up, and boom, the kid did it. The guy coached him. The guy was here, right here, making sure, you know, no one falls, no one gets hurt. But really cool. So this thing can take a beating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sets are a little more challenging now, just walking between. When I do stuff like this, I can't help but think, like, what could amplify this to do in between, you know? The rope flow doesn't seem like a bad idea. Walking with these bricks seems like actually a fairly good idea. I know some people, like, they're so into, like, the nervous system stuff, and they're like, yo, you know, don't do anything in between. But I think there's a little bit that could be done. I don't think I would do hypertrophy. I think that would pull away from the energy system too much. But walking, like, with a little bit of weight, walking with 10 or 20 pound dumbbells a little bit, keep the heart rate up, seems extremely valuable. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, just zone 1, zone 2, you know? Like, obviously the harder these outputs get, the less I'll even want or think about stuff like that, because I'll be, right? So last one, I gotta be honest, I got scared. Eyes were down. I gotta bring them up. I gotta bring the head up and relax. I can keep the head down in the beginning if I need to, just to kind of get my footing, and then once I got my shit going, then I can get going. Better set. Correction. And I need to pick up my feet. Pick up your feet. There we go. My legs are only used to going so fast. And they're certainly used to going faster than 8 miles an hour, but 8 miles an hour with this incline, 25 on the incline. Getting down to the last couple sets here. See if I can, like, let go a little bit more. It's, you're probably watching it, and when you watch this, you probably feel like you're watching someone play a video game, and you're like, damn it, why can't he jump over that fire pit, you know? It's like easier said than done. It's just, I have a lot I'm concentrating on. in the context of one set. And I think all of you have a remedy for me, and you're probably right. You probably have some good insight and good information on what it is I can do to correct it. However, let's face the facts, I'm not gonna learn this in one day. Not in 2 days, not in 3 days. Not gonna learn it in 3 weeks. It's probably realistically gonna take me at least 3 years to get halfway to figuring some of this stuff out. But I actually think within the next 3 to 6 months, I can be pretty good and pretty proficient. I think by the end of 2026, I will at least look like I know what I'm doing when I'm running. And maybe we'll look a little bit less like someone shoved something up my ass. But I also could be running with something up my ass. Could be for my own pleasure, you never know. Yeah, baby! Boom! You know, little kid gets new kicks. Like, look how fast I can go, right? Man, that's how I feel. So if you see me sharing this stuff out all the time and you get annoyed with me, just know that I love doing this. This is like a lot of fun for me. So here we go, some cooling down. Important to cool yourself down whenever we're dealing with the heart. It's always good to warm up, always good to cool back down, but you can also catch volume and catch some movement on the way down. You can think about sort of where you messed up for the day and see if you can correct that a little bit when you're going. And now this was hard for me, like even just a couple weeks ago. Man, that feels so damn good. Let's go here, boom. Maybe boom. We'll leave it at, we'll leave it at 4, that's good. This thing's always on a little bit of an incline. It's kind of the magic of it. These guys that worked on this, they have a very specific formula, and in accordance to the incline and your speed, they can tell you where you're at flat. Kind of interesting. Obviously, you got to work on flat, you know. They're not saying not to work on flat surfaces. They're certainly not saying don't run anywhere else but on our treadmill. But you can get a lot of training on the treadmill. And I'm sure there's a lot of pros and cons to utilizing a treadmill, right? But man, the pros are beautiful. The pros are really beautiful because I can, let's say that half the reps today, I slammed my foot into the ground like shit on half the reps. Let's say I did that 3,000 times today. There's 3,000 like shitty inputs or shitty reps. Well, at least it's muffled a little bit by landing on the treadmill in these shoes, right? Obviously, we want quality reps. Like, we want everything to be the best, but I'm learning, right? So this is a great place for me to learn on here. Nice and easy, nice and calm. And you can see I also have, you know, there's a treadmill here. There's a beautiful treadmill, the Peloton. There's lots of treadmills. This one just happens to be the best one in the world. And when I saw this online, I was like, that's the treadmill for me. This other treadmill can be for my wife, but this thing, this high-powered monster's for me. And again, it's going to allow me to do a lot of training, and a lot of really good quality training. Plus, I get all the inputs of all the mirrors and everything. You can't see shit when you're out running on a track. And good luck trying to record it, you know. I got Ryan, you know, he's on the one wheel trying to follow me and stuff, and he does an amazing job with that, but it's really hard to really capture. And it's hard to capture the full body. You know, if Ryan's going to capture the full body, he might have to get back pretty far or have a wide angle lens, and then you lose a little bit with the wider angle lenses. You lose a little bit if someone's really far back. Then you lose a ton if someone gets in too close. Like if Ryan's only filming my face and my upper body, we don't really learn much from it, right? Those of you that are coaches understand the difference between video and seeing something live. is so different. It's like absolutely insane. They're almost not related at all. When I would watch someone do a squat and I would see, them, shake a little as they're doing their lift and the knee cave in and stuff a little bit. When I was there in person, all that stuff was amplified like crazy. And in the video, it didn't look like much. It was like a little glitch here or there. If they don't know what's wrong and you're trying to communicate with them, you don't know what's wrong. You can't really see any of it. But mirror feedback is beautiful. It's instant. You can see it right there on the spot. And then you can start to make some corrections. I was not able to do that on the faster sets though, but maybe as I get better, I'll be able to think about the faster sets a little bit, because I do think that there's going to be a time where you don't think about it at all because you get so good at it. But I also think that when you are really good at something, you do think about the intermediate sets and you fix and correct. And it's not even so much thinking as it is like auto correction. You feel something's off with a hip or a knee and you move it a little bit. I was feeling my arms, and I'll work on my arms a little bit on this next one too. Probably the hardest part of that treadmill is getting off of it. Like I've been going at it, like literally for 1 hour, like even minus the warm up. Probably been on there for almost 90 minutes. And I just want to keep going. It's really amazing, really feels great. $212 pounds this morning. Bench 315 for a few sets of 5 this week. Starting to get a little shaky, starting to drop some weight again. And I think a few weeks ago, I hit it for like 7 or 8 without the slinger. Now I'll just start to throw the slingshot on a little bit more. And like I said, interestingly enough, the things that you shoot for and the things that you gun for, they're really governed by your other behaviors, cause a cascade of disciplines and cascade of events and things to happen to get you kind of launched or directed that way. And if you're somebody that's really attached to the big lifts and the heavy lifts, that could be really cool. But if you're also trying to undergo like a health intervention or trying to lose, 40 pounds, trying to, start, like now's a great time to start to think about losing weight when that Halloween candy comes out. This is when Operation Get Less Fatter started years ago. Started in October, November, December, January, because it's like you were getting in on your New Year's resolution way early, showing up way early at the event and being prepared for it. But it's a really good time to start to think about cutting back. And for those of you that need to cut your weight back, when you do start to reduce your body weight, the things that you're interested in are going to change. When you go from being able to bench 365 for 2 reps, but you weigh 275, or you weigh 260 or whatever it is that you weigh, you're a little on the heavier side, you might be more compelled as you're losing weight to want to do, walking lunges or even like a weighted lunge, or you might want to do more push-ups and dips rather than like bench press. You kind of see where I'm going with this? Or maybe you put your emotions a little bit more into like the flat dumbbell bench or incline dumbbell bench press, because you're shifting stuff around a little bit. Well, I've had so many people over the years ask me about, like, man, how did you shift? How did you make that change? How did you stop powerlifting? And, well, I guess my answer to that might be a little different than some other people's, but I scored, I did a kickoff return for a touchdown. I was like, what more can you do than that? I guess, an analogy to football, I scored a touchdown every way you could think of. I did a quarterback sneak. I caught a 99-yard touchdown pass. I ran a kick return. I ran a punt return. Like, I did all the different things in powerlifting that I felt that I could do. I felt that I was great at powerlifting.
Not even necessarily in comparison to anybody else. I felt like I did such a great job of powerlifting based off of where I started from and where I got myself to, because I know how bad I sucked at some of those lifts. Really sucked at the squat. The squat was just, my squat was bad. My squat was bad. My squat was really, really shitty. Really shitty. And to have come out the other side of it and be able to hit the lifts that I did, it felt so rewarding that by the time I hit those and by the time it was time to retire and move on, it wasn't really even like a thought process. It was like, oh, just move on. It's like, let's get jacked and tan. Like let's move into something slightly different. So it wasn't like this big thought process. I could give a shit. I don't care about like not being able to squat 1,000 or 800 or 900 or 700 or 600. Which I can't squat any of those. I actually, if we were to load 315 up on the bar right now and I was to try to do a squat with it, it would just go right through the floor. And I don't care. I don't care at all. That's not what I do anymore. I'm trying to do other things. Now I can still handle weight with my legs. So like if I leg press, I can leg press a shit ton, which I know is cheap, but it is what it be. I can do a belt squat with a crazy amount of weight and do a shit ton of reps and stuff like that. So my legs, they still have some good strength to them, but I don't have that coordination and strength combination of being able to handle all that weight on my back like that. And bench pressing, I just told you, 315 for a few reps. I used to do sets of 5 with 500 pounds, pretty routinely. And now, we're two plates behind that, and then some maybe even. So I don't feel bad about it. I feel good about it, actually. I feel great about it. And what I have gleaned from that is that I have just new capacities rather than thinking of like I'm losing something, because I don't really need that kind of strength. I cannot think about like why I need that strength, like what I need it for. There's not much there's nothing I can think of that I need it for. It was fun to do all that stuff, but now it's time just to kind of move on and move in a different direction. And maybe for some other people out there, maybe just if you have some other goals, those other goals are going to redirect you anyway. So if some of your goal is to like trim up your waist or trim up your diet and clean up your diet and like lose some body fat and lose some weight, the truth is there's so many people out there, so many people that listen and watch some of what I put out that just honestly need to lose way more weight than they think, and need to lose 40, 50, 60 pounds. Pull that weight off. And that's a different challenge. You're not necessarily just pulling the weight off for health purposes. Pulling the weight off because you just want to look better. Like you want to look like you lift. And I just have a lot of friends that could really, even 15 pounds, just pull, like maybe you're not into what I'm into. Maybe you don't want to be as shaped or don't have the same goals. But for me, I want to have more of a V taper. I have, some lats. I got some arms and some chest, but I don't have much of a V taper. I'm just like straight down. And there's a lot of sprinters have that more like a V taper. I'm not obsessed with it or anything. I'm not crazy about it, but like if I could, that is one of my goals. And so because that's one of my goals, then a lot of things shift. A lot of my values shift. A lot of the things that I want to do shift. It changes my workout a little bit, changes the way I eat a little bit. It changes everything after it. So how do you go from powerlifting and hitting all those numbers and feeling like that's part of your life or that is your life? The real key is to recognize that can't be your life. It just can't be. It won't work. It doesn't work that way. And the things that you're sweeping under the rug, that you're filling in lifting with, that doesn't work great either. You'll have to actually deal with those things. And I think that's ultimately what happens with people is when they get done with lifting. It was like COVID. When COVID happened and people stopped going to work and they had to hang out with their spouse, they're like, oh my God, who is this person I'm hanging out with? This is exactly what happens when you give up some of your hopes and your dreams of the thing that you love doing. As soon as you stop powerlifting, now what or who do you have to deal with? Now you have to deal with yourself. And that's a really tough thing to deal with. But you need to occupy your mind and occupy your space and occupy your time. And you're going to do so by just shifting the goal slightly to be able to do something different. Maybe you get into mountain biking. Maybe you get into hiking. Maybe you get into soccer. Maybe you get into friggin' wiffle ball, tennis, pickleball, whatever it might be. And maybe that small shift into doing something slightly different helps a cascade of disciplines to happen. And when you have those disciplines, you can gamify those disciplines. And when you gamify those disciplines, it gives you something to do. And when you have something to do, it's going to make you feel better. Because as Elvis Presley once said, you need something to do, someone to love, something to do, someone to love. What was the other one? Someone to love, something to do, something to look forward to. There you go. And the something to look forward to is you getting better at whatever that new thing is that you're looking for. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.